Good evening, friends. Pinotuni. Welcome to our online broadcast here from the London Mindfulness Meditation Center. As you know, we go live every day in the evening around this time, 6:30, sharing with you our worship, chanting, meditation, and short-term reflection. So it serves a great purpose for yourself to commit yourself daily to develop strategies or even use this as a matter of well-being, getting away from your daily activities and settling down in the evening hours for religious worship or even for your spiritual development. And especially during this rains retreat, it serves a great purpose, committing yourself and engaging in religious activities, accumulating merit, as well as dedicating them to your loved ones. So before we worship, let us begin our worship by observing precepts. Please say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa 3 times to observe precepts. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Dutiyampi saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Tatiyampi saṅgham saraṇaṃ gacchāmi, Pānātipātā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi, Adinādāna vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi, Kāmesu micchācārā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi, Musāvādā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi, Surāmēraya majjapamādatthānā vēramaṇī sikkhapadam samādhiyāmi, Tisaraṇena saddheṃ pañcasīlaṃ dhammaṃ sādhukaṃ surakkitaṃ kattvā appamādena sampādetabbam. Let us worship the Buddha together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagavā arahaṃ samma sambuddho Vijjācarana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhamma sarathi sattha deva manassanang buddho bhagavati Buddhaṃ jīvita pariyantaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi Swakkhāto bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akāliko ehi passiko opanayiko Paccattaṃ veditabbo viññuhīti Dhammaṃ jīvita pariyantaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Ujjapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Nyāyapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Sāmīcipatipanno bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho Yadidaṃ cattari purisa yugani attha purisa puggala esa bhagavato sāvaka saṅgho āhuneyo pāhuneyo dakhineyo anjali karaniyo Anuttaraṃ puññakkhetaṃ lokassāti Saṅgaṃ jīvita pariyantaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi Kanasārappadittena dīpena tamadaṃsina Tilokadīpaṃ sambuddhaṃ pujayāmi tamonudaṃ Vannagandha gunopetaṃ etaṃ kusuma santatiṃ pujayāmi munindassa siripada saroruhe Pujemi buddhaṃ kusumena nena puññena metena ca hotu mokkhaṃ pupphaṃ milayāti yatāi dhamme kāyo tatāyāti vināsa bhāvaṃ adhivāsetu no bhante Pāniyaṃ parikappitaṃ anukampaṃ apādāya patigannhātu uttama adhivāsetu no bhante gilāna paccayaṃ imaṃ anukampaṃ apādāya patigannhātu uttama adhivāsetu no bhante sabbaṃ saddhāya pujitaṃ anukampaṃ apādāya patigannhātu uttama vandāmi cetiyaṃ sabbaṃ sabbatāni supatitthitaṃ sāririka dhātu mahābodhiṃ buddha rūpaṃ sakalaṃ sadā yassa mūle nisinnova sabbāri vijayaṃ akā patto sabbaññutaṃ sattā Vande tang bodhipadapang ime ete mahabodhi lokanatena pujita ahampi te namassami bodhiraja namattute kayena vaca cittena pamadene maya katang accayan kamami bhante bhuri panya tathagata kayena vaca cittena pamadene maya katang accayan kamami dhamma sandittika akalika kayena vaca cittena pamadene maya katang accayan kamami sangha supatipanna anuttara ettavata ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya ettavata ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya ettavata ca amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo idamme ñātīnaṁ hotu sukhita hontu ñātayo imina punya kammene mami bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya idamme punyang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu sadhu sadhu sadhu. Now let us chant the Pratana Sutta and the Maha Jayamangala Sutta. May you and your loved ones stay blessed, good health. May your righteous aspirations be fulfilled. And if you are bearing anyone in your thoughts, we wish them good health and happiness, speedy recovery. May all the treatment they are being given or taking be successful for their well-being and happiness. Please do share our link so that they can listen to the chanting while we chant here live from the London Mindfulness Meditation Center. So please join us in the chanting. If not, listen to the chanting with great attention and respect. Samanta cakkavalesu atra gacchantu devata saddhammang munirajassa sunantu sagga mokkadang Paritta savana kalu ayang bhadanta Paritta savana kalu ayang bhadanta Paritta dhamma savana kalu ayang bhadanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Yani dabhutani samagatani bhummani vayani vayantalike Sabbeva bhuta sumana bhavantu atopi sakkacca sunantu bhasitang tasmahi bhutani samita sabbe mettang karota manusiya pajaya Divacarato chaharanti baling tasmahine rakkata appamatta yang kinci vittang idavahurang va saggesu vayang ratanang panitang nano samang atti tathagatena idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu khayang viragang amatang panitang yadajjaga sakya muni samahito natena dhammena samatti kinci idampi dhamme ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Yang buddha settho parivannai sucing samadhimanantari kanyamahu samadhina tena samona vijjati idampi dhamme ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Ye puggala atta satang pasatta cattari etani yugani honti te dakhineya sugatassa savaka ete sudinnani mahappalani idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu ye suppayutta manasa dalhena nikkamino gotama sasanam hi te patte patta amatang vigayha laddha mudha nibbuting bunjamana idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu yatinda kilo pathaving sitosiya catubbhi vate biya sampakampiyo tatupamang sappurisang vadami yo ariya saccani avecca passati idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu yatinda kilo pathaving sitosiya catubbhi vate biya sampakampiyo tatupamang sappurisang vadami yo ariya saccani avecca passati idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu ye ariya saccani vibhavayanti gambhira panyena sudesitani kincapite honti busappamatta nate bhavang attamang adiyanti idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Sahavassa dassana sampadaya tayassu dhamma jahita bhavanti sakkaya ditti vicikiccitanca silabbatang vapi yadatti kinci catuha payehi ca vippamutto cacabitana niyabhabbakatung idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu kinca piso kammang karoti papakang kayena vaca udaceta abhabboso tassa paticchādāya abhabbatā ditta padassa vutta idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Vanapagumbe yata pussitagge gimhanamase patamasmin gimhe tatupamang dhammavarang adesai nibbanagaming paramang hitaye idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Varo varanyo varado varaharo anuttaro dhamma varang adesai idampi buddhe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu Kinang puranang nawang natti sambhavang viratta citta ayatike bhavasming te kihina bija avirulhechanda nibbanti dhira yathayang padipo idampi sanghe ratanang panitang etena saccena suvatti hotu yani dabhutani samagatani bummani vayani ve antalikhe tathāgatang deva manussa pujitang buddhang namassāma suvatti hotu yani dabhutani samagatani bummani vayani ve antalikhe tathāgatang deva manussa pujitang tammang namassāma suvatti hotu Yani dabhutani samagatani pummani vayani ve antalike tathāgatang deva manussa pujitang sanghang namassāma suvatti hotu etena sacca vajjena dukkha upasamentu te etena sacca vajjena payavupasamentu te etena sacca vajjena rogavupasamentu te mahakaruniko natho hitaya sabbapaninang puretva parami sabba patto sambodhi muttamang etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang jayanta bodhiyamule sakkyanang nandi vaddhano evaṃ tvihang jayo hotu jayassu jaya mangalang sakkatva buddharatanang osadhaṃ uttamang varang hitang deva manassanang buddha tejena sottina nassantu paddava sabbe dukkha vupasamentu te sakkatva dhammaratanang osadhaṃ uttamang varang parilahupasamanang tammate jena sottina nassantu paddava sabbe payavupasamentu te sakkatva sangharatanang osadhaṃ uttamang varang ahuneyang pahuneyang sanghate jena sottina Nassantu paddava sabbe rogavupasamintu te yang kinci ratanang loke vijjati vividhaputu ratanang buddha samang natti tasma sotti bhavantu te yang kinci ratanang loke vijjati vividhaputu ratanang dhamma samang natti tasma sotti bhavantu te yang kinci ratanang loke vijjati vividhaputu ratanang sangha samang natti tasma sotti bhavantu te natti me saranang anyang buddho me saranang varang etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang natti me saranang anyang dhammo me saranang varang etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang natti me saranang anyang sangho me saranang varang etena sacca vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digahayuko bhave bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavene sada sotti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba dhammanubhavene sada sotti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba sanghanubhavene sada sotti bhavantu te nakkatayakka bhutanang papaggaha nivarana parittassanubhavene hantu te sang upaddave devo vassatu kalene sassa sampatti hetu ce pito bhavatu loko ce raja bhavatu dhammiko akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu loka sasanang akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu dhammadesanang akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu mang paranti. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May the blessings of the Buddha Dhamma Sangha embodied in the chantings, may the blessings of the Buddha embodied in the chantings, may the compassion of the Buddha embodied in the chantings be conducive for your well-being and happiness. May you and your loved ones stay blessed with good health, and may all your righteous aspirations be fulfilled. So if you have just joined us, we go live every day as best as possible at 6:30 and whenever possible, sharing with you our evening worship, chanting, meditation and Dhamma reflection. Especially during this rains retreat, it is important and it is perhaps good for your own personal well-being that you commit yourself and engage in religious activities so that you can not just accumulate merit but also enhance your spiritual practice as well as paramita. So during this time, the devotees and the monks get together, especially in the countries where the majority of the Theravada tradition exists. There are lots of programs to support your spiritual practice, And we also are committed for you to at least once you have finished your daily activities in the evening hours, sit aside by your TV or your laptop, and you can participate in our worship together from home or wherever you are. Some devotees who sponsored the pujas come and participate in the shrine room here with us. Otherwise, we just telecast our broadcast live from here so that you can commit yourself daily, avoiding all the travel as well. So it is important to engage in spiritual practices throughout. So now let us spend some time meditating. So please adjust yourself if necessary. Otherwise, stay the way you are as long as you are not moving and you are still with determination not to move. First of all, be mindful of your posture. Just a few moments observing how your body is posed at the moment. The bends, the contact, whether you call it touch, you can even come out of your body to observe that statue-like body. Observe your surrounding for a while, where you are, who you are with. Now coming back to yourself, observe the stillness this time, how peaceful your body is, how calm and still your body and mind is. Now bring that attention to your breathing and make the breathing as your object to stay calm further. And simply observe the breath going in and out of your nostrils for a while. Now with that peace of mind, please follow these lines to develop moments of metta within ourselves and share with others. May I be well, happy and peaceful. So contemplate on that. May I be blessed with good health. May no harm come to me. May no problems come to me. May no difficulties come to me. May I always meet with success. May I also have the patience, courage and understanding to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May I be free from pain and suffering. Likewise, may my parents, grandparents, teachers, uncles and aunts and in-laws, husband, wife or partner, children, grandchildren, sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, brothers, sisters, brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law, cousins, nephews and nieces, friends, colleagues at work, neighbors. May they all be well, happy and peaceful. May they all be blessed with good health. May no harm come to them. May no problems come to them. May no difficulties come to them. May they always meet with success. May they also have the patience, courage and determination to meet and overcome difficulties in life. May they be free from pain and suffering. May all living beings be well, happy and peaceful. May all living beings be free from pain and suffering. May I be well, happy and peaceful. May I be free from pain and suffering. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So if you have just joined us, we go live every day at 6:30, sharing with you our worship, religious observance, chanting, meditation and short reflection of the Dhamma, which is a continued series. The series will terminate with our robe offering ceremony on the 29th of October. Please, everyone is welcome, so feel free to come to our event or book your diary as well. You're also welcome to sponsor our pujas, these programs enabling others to participate, as well as making it a time to dedicate it to your loved ones if you want to share merit or even bless your loved ones. So we were continuing to reflect on the Eightfold Path, and yesterday we ran out of time, so we had to skip. And day for yesterday, myself being poorly, I couldn't make it, so we apologize for that interruption. So today we are focusing on the livelihood aspect of the Eightfold Path, Samma Ajiva. We focused on right view, how we develop right view, and when we develop right view, it provides us with the base perhaps of learning how to renounce from our likes and dislikes, or even most importantly harmful thinking practice. So nekkhamma sankappa, avyapada sankappa, avihingsa sankappa. And once we develop that right intention, it makes it easy, if mindful, to practice our precepts, which is the next section. So from wisdom we go into morality section, and a few days ago we discussed on how the use of speech can actually be wrong, and in what ways it can be wrong. And following that, we worked on the right actions, what type of actions are skillful and what are unskillful. So today we go into the last one of the morality section, which is ajiva, livelihood. And there are many occasions, the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta just uses the word samma ajiva, but if you go to like Sattvibhanga Sutta, where that is analyzed, you can actually see that idhauso ariya savako michcha ajivang pahaya. So also means monks, or also is used like young monks. Arya savako, so noble disciple, michcha ajivang pahaya. If someone abandons wrong livelihood, and actually makes a living with right livelihood, that is called samma ajiva. So we don't have that much of a detail, but obviously there are other discourses where we can actually look at the word michcha ajiva. So michcha ajiva would be wrong livelihood. You can see that now obviously it's quite interesting how the Buddha did not actually ignore the livelihood section. Now most of the time, sometimes we would spend some time with families, other times is to actually earn a living. And it is through that earning of living or that livelihood that you might be engaging. So in countries such as this, it could be 9 to 5, or even perhaps 9 to 3, or even a couple of hours, more than the hours that you sometimes be with yourself or with family, you spend time with working. So some people work 10 hours a day, and then or 8 hours a day, and then spend some time traveling. So you can see most of the time when you are awake, you are actually engaging in a livelihood, something that you earn to form a living and or to support a living. Now, what's interesting is to see that how do we actually engage in that actually does not, as we looked into the last few precepts, what makes you act unskillfully, what makes you act perhaps in a wrong way that harms yourself, the others, or even the social network, or even the society. And you can see that is where we can start focusing on what is it that actually helps us abandon dishonesty. So anything that you actually do by hook or crook to actually crave for maybe profit, crave for unnecessary, shall I use the word exploitation? And that is wrong. If your means of income is supported or based on exploitation, if your means actually is not righteous, if you are developing or promoting harmful natures, harmful practices, because obviously no one does work not looking for profit, so we have to allow some profit, but the excess perhaps actually that would actually promote exploitation would be a wrongful living, or michcha ajiva, wrong livelihood. So if you are able to abandon dishonesty, if you are able to abandon anything that is harmful, if you are able to abandon anything that actually promotes the unskillful action, unskillful speech, unskillful means to the society, then that would be a right livelihood. So the suttas such as perhaps for lay people, the Buddha has spoken at one time in the Vanijja Sutta, which is quite cited in this matter. So there were 5 types of businesses that actually people engaged those days, or 5 types of livelihood matters, which if you look at it, it's quite obviously wrong. So any business or livelihood that is based on weaponry, so dealing with weapons, business in human beings. Now we know human trafficking is quite something in the news quite often. So weapons, human beings, so human trafficking or slavery, or sweatshirt shops, I would also imagine would fall in this category. Anything that is in terms of exploitation. Business in meat, so how you generate meat, whether it is poultry or cattle. The business in meat was considered wrong because it involves obviously killing animals. Business in human beings involves, as I said, exploitation, and weapons involves the promotion of killing. So wherever your actions are bound to be unskillful, because engaging in engaging in livelihood that is actually harming the society. So business or engaging in intoxicants, selling and dealing intoxicants, and so nowadays we can use in terms of drugs as well in this category. Anything that actually harms the society, whether it is family life, whether it is harming or the destruction of peace within the society, whether it promotes wrongful behavior. So anything that actually promotes as such would be wrong in terms of right livelihood. And lastly, business in terms of poison or dealing with poison. So those are quite something perhaps during the Buddha's time people engaged in wrong type of livelihood. So if you look at it deeply, it is involving, as I mentioned earlier, involving developing unskillful thinking in the first place, and then promoting unskillful actions, unskillful behavior, sometimes unskillful dealings. And in this case, obviously, when it comes into humans, we are talking of exploitation. When it comes into animals, we are talking of killing. When it comes into intoxicants, we are talking of promoting wrong relationships, or perhaps through or even in terms of clouding the minds and engaging in matters that can lead to negligence, such as family negligence. So that is the type of wrong livelihood according to the Anguttara Vanijja Sutta and the Anguttara Nikaya that we find. So you can see how it is actually, it's all about how we support our activities, and anything that actually supports the well-being aspect is right livelihood. What comes to my mind is suttas such as the social ethical suttas such as Sigahalwada Sutta, Vyagapadya Sutta, where there is an emphasis on balanced livelihood. There's an emphasis on that. Anything that actually maintains the awareness of the balance between income and expense. And if there is no savings, there would not be any form of income. So if the expense matters, such as in the Sigala Sutta, the Buddha highlights into the youth Sigala, there are 6 means of wealth drain, or you drain yourself as if there was a tank and then a reservoir, and then there are outlets that actually let the water drip, and in the end the water will all flow out of the tank or reservoir. Similarly, if a person does not know how to be mindful of the type of activities a person engages in, allowing the draining of the wealth or the asset, then that might not be a balanced livelihood. The person does not know how to spend. So wasteful spending patterns can be something that we use nowadays, the words, or depending too much on credit can also be something that we can think in nowadays. So excess expenditure, which is beyond your means, would be wrong livelihood. Then what happens is it promotes the consumption of not just what perhaps you desire, you crave for, it's more than your needs and essentials, but you actually would develop perhaps some sort of conceit, because you want to live a lifestyle that you could flaunt with, which might sometimes not be in your means. But if it is in your means, fair enough. But if it is not in your means, then you need to know how to actually save, as well as to actually look after your family and your relatives, because it will be a blessing. Nyatakanancha sangahu. If you can look after your family properly, if you can look after your siblings, your relatives who are perhaps in need, that is a great blessing. But obviously you must make sure they don't take advantage of you, and that is, otherwise you will just be putting yourself at risk in terms of your expenditure. So we have to remember that what leads to an unbalanced life. So because one of the aspects of worldly living and successful nature or successful criteria that the Buddha taught the Vyagapajja or Digajanu was to have that balance, samajivakata, to have that balanced lifestyle. So it is simply to know what you have, and then perhaps learn how to spend what you have. So there are many other areas where we can talk about this. What sort of right livelihood can you think of? And what generally comes to mind is anything that is quite virtuously good, anything that actually you might use your wisdom to impart knowledge, to impart your service to the community for the well-being of the community, can be considered something quite as righteous or right livelihood. It generates a great sometimes pleasure in terms of services like that. It might not necessarily be of a great profit, because where there is the pursuit of profit unnecessarily or excessively, there can be means of unskillful means that people might want to gain the profit, and that might simply just be feeding into your greed, into your desires, as well as then not being satisfied. So contentment goes down the drain, and always sometimes you live with jealousy, and sometimes you live with insecure feelings as well. So right livelihood is a great base as morality, even for someone to practice or to have a religious orientation. So if you have a good livelihood, if there is some form of good support that comes and supports your living, you are at peace of mind, so that you can also practice the spiritual side as uttered by the Buddha to Digajanu, to see the spiritual side as well, so that you don't actually just spend a lot of time and energy for your materialistic or the worldly side of life. So where there is right livelihood, it supports the practice of the Dhamma. It supports the development of your spiritual practice as well as the morality. So we can be defined by what we do. We can be actually defined by who we are, and if right livelihood is what defines us and supports us, then it surely is a good virtue to have, and therefore right morality plays a big role. Right livelihood plays a big role in our spiritual development, and especially to have it in the Eightfold Path. It says a lot about how it might support your path to enlightenment, and therefore that is the fifth of the Eightfold Path that we discussed today, right livelihood. So with that we will conclude, and tomorrow we will look into right effort, which is the first of the contemplation or the meditation side that we need to look. Otherwise we can also use that for our day-to-day practice as well, to see how right effort can help us a lot and takes us a long way. So with that short reflection on right livelihood, we come to the close of today's online broadcast. Thank you for joining with us this evening, and if you are interested in sponsoring our puja, chanting, meditation and short Dhamma reflection, please do contact us, so that you can make it an opportunity to mindfully commit yourself during this rains retreat, and we also are committed to support your spiritual practice during the rains retreat, which terminates with our robe offering ceremony on the 29th of October. So until we see you tomorrow, have a very restful evening, stay safe, take care, have a very good evening and good night. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.